And then at the end, we're also going to solve them by looking at them graphically for a little bit. So I've just written down the steps we're going to take in solving quadratic equations by factoring. So first we're going to get the equation in standard form. Notice I've written the standard form here, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. You want to get the 0 on one side with these quadratics, right? So make sure that's your first step. The second step is to divide by a common factor, just so you can work with smaller numbers, which would make it easier. Next, you're just going to factor by your choice of method. And then the fourth step is to use the zero factor property. If you don't remember the zero factor property, it states that if you have a times b, and that's equal to 0, then what it says is that you could set each factor individually equal to 0. So it states that you could say a equals 0, or that b is equal to 0. This is from the fourth step. And then the fifth step is just to solve for the variable, or just making it complicated. Then you just solve for the variable. So that's the steps we're going to take in factoring these quadratic equations. So we're going to get into some examples now. Okay, so we're going to get into the first example. X squared minus 12x plus 35. So looking at the first step, it's already in standard form because we have the 0 on one side and all the other stuff on the other side. Moving on to the second step, I can't divide these by a common factor. So moving on to the third step, I'm going to go ahead and factor this. So here comes the two parentheses. Alright, I'll put an x here and an x here. 35, that's like 7 and 5, right? So there's the 7, there's the 5. This guy's positive, this guy's negative. So they're probably both negative. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and use the zero factor property on the fourth step now. I'm going to set each of these factors individually to 0. So we get x minus 7 equals 0, or x minus 5 equals 0. Then I'm just going to solve for the variable. So in this case, I get that x equals 7. And then for this guy, I get that x equals 5. And that's it. Okay, so here's the second example. Why don't you guys go ahead and give this a shot, and then I'll review it with you. So looking at our first step here, it's already in standard form because we got the 0 on one side. So moving on to the second step, divide by a common factor. We can do that here. We could divide everything by 2. Don't forget the 0. Alright, so then we get t squared plus 5t plus 6 equals 0. Moving on to the third step, I'm going to go ahead and factor. So a t here and a t here. 6 is like 3 and 2. And they're both positive. Moving on to the zero factor property, which is number 4. And then after that, I'm just going to solve for the variables. So we're going to have t plus 3 equals 0, or t plus 2 equals 0. Now on the last step, I get t equals negative 3 and t equals negative 2. Okay, so it's already in standard form because you have the 0 on one side, so number 1 is checked off. Number 2, we can't divide by a common factor because it's 5. Now, the third choice is to factor by your choice of method. I just didn't write that here. So I'm going to go ahead and, since the coefficient is not 1 here, I'm going to go ahead and bring back the 2. I call this the bring back method or whatever. So bringing this 2 back, multiplying it with the 12. You could do the Xmas method or whatever, however you like factoring these types. So I get w squared minus 5w minus 24 equals 0. Now the coefficient's 1. This looks like 3 and 8. So I'll put a 3 here and an 8 here. Since this is negative, this guy's going to be negative. Okay? But since we multiplied by the 2 here, we have to balance it out by dividing the 2 here now. only to the numbers. So if you get a fraction that doesn't simplify, you bring the 2 back. But this guy simplifies, so I'm going to bring the 2 back. I get 2w plus 3 here, because that didn't simplify. Here it just simplifies, so it's just w minus 4 equals 0. Alright, so we're on the 4th step now, which is to use the zero factor property. So I got 2w plus 3 equals 0, or w minus 4 equals 0. So here I got 2 steps. 2w subtract the 3 over, and then divide by the 2, so you get w is equal to negative 3 half. And there's just 1 step here to add the 4 over, so you get w equals 4. So the 2 solutions I got was w equals negative 3 half and w equals 4. Okay, so why don't you guys go ahead and try one of the funky ones where the coefficient's not 1 and you have to do the unusual or whatever. Okay, so I'm assuming you tried that. Alright, so the first step is, we haven't used the first step at all so far in this video series because it's always in standard form with 0. So that's out the way. We can divide by common factor. And so I'm going to factor by my choice of method, which is the bring back method. Bring it back. So I'm going to bring back this 5 and multiply it with the 6. So I'll get L squared minus 7L minus 30 equals 0. Now that looks like what? 3 and 10? So I'll put a 3 here and a 10 here. Okay. This guy's negative, so he will be negative. Okay. Now, if you're following the way I'm doing it, you have to divide by the 5 now to account for that balance. We said if it goes in evenly, cool. If it doesn't, you bring back the 5. In this case, this doesn't simplify, so I'll bring back the 5. So 5L plus 3. And then here we just get L minus 2 equals 0. Alright, so I factored it. Now I'm going to use the zero factor property and set each of those factors individually equals 0. So 5L plus 3 equals 0, or L minus 2 equals 0. So we got 2 steps here. Subtract the 3 over first. 5L equals negative 3. Then divide the 5. So you get L equals negative 3/5. Here you just got 1 step to add the 2 over. So you get L equals 2. So the 2 solutions I got was L equals negative 3/5 and L equals 2.